In market news now, Asia Pacific share indices rallied following Wall Street's lead, and the dollar held just below a 2-month high versus the yen, amid signs that the US might be close to a deal to raise the debt ceiling and avert a disastrous default. The rand extended the previous day's losses in early trade as the US dollar hovered near a 7-week high on optimism over US debt ceiling talks. Meanwhile, locally, building materials and mining group Aframat declared a lower dividend and reported a decrease in annual profit as it diversified to offset the effect of lower iron ore prices and an economic slowdown. Over the past financial year, the mid-tier open-pit mining company that's valued at 8.6 billion rand on the JSE diversified as it looked to make up for inflationary cost pressures, load shedding, and the growing concern about a global recession as the war in Ukraine and other factors weighed on the markets. But however, we're going to be talking to Makwe Masilela in a short bit to get a sense of the market sentiment, especially touching in on the rand, as we've seen the dollar, at least over the past month or so, rally about 2%. But to give us that perspective, we are joined by Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers. Makwe, thank you so much for your time. Your sentiment right now, it's midweek. We're still trying to see whether the debt ceiling talks will actually bear fruit. But what's the sentiment right now when you look at your screens?
You know, we are a bit more cautious more than anything. Remember, traditionally, the month of May is a month for selling, but unfortunately, this U.S. default timeline is delaying the start of many of our peers' summer vacations, and we must be ready probably for a possible debt ceiling rally, as there are hopes that the U.S. debt ceiling deal could be raised soon. As soon as this weekend. And by the way, talking about debt, the global debt is around almost 305 trillion US dollars. That's almost 45 trillion higher than the pre-pandemic levels. So markets are still playing this whole thing that, listen, hopefully, as the president said, as the counterpart said as well, that there's no option for a default, and not forgetting that the debate among market participants is still continuing. When will the U.S. Central Bank cut interest rates?
I'm going to, throw you a curveball here, because the month of May has always been the phrase a lot of traders would say, sell in May and go away. You doing any of that? When was the last time you even did that?
We don't do that. Unfortunately, it's not summer here. So those guys, they've got a reason to go away because they have to go for summer vacation. But yes, what happened previously does not necessarily, like last year, it was not the case that sell in May and come back. But yeah, generally, people need to understand that the guys have got all the reasons to go on holiday because of the summer.
Let's talk about Telkom, because we saw that massive drop yesterday, and as we look at the screen, it is down again about 6% around about now. But what do you make of yesterday's fall, and I suppose what does the future hold for this company that appears to have perhaps reached the ceiling, given that it's dealing with legacy issues and trying to move into a new technological space?
You know, I think markets are still trying to see whether they won't get that 30% that they split as a knee-jerk reaction yesterday. Remember, yesterday it closed down 15%. All I'm saying is I'm not cutting off the expectations that it can continue to go down. But the fact is, the guys definitely have to address the legacy issues, a big thing. And it's not a child's play to tell us that, listen, we could potentially write off a value of our assets by almost 13 billion, given that the market value is around 16 billion. But going forward, the only thing that will work for Telkom is for MTN to buy them, and specifically MTN, because Telkom, they are attractive in a sense that when it comes to fiber, they've got the largest kilometers covered, and we know Vodacom, they've already done a deal, so it's only left with MTN. Rain is out of the question because those talks fell off. And remember, the reason MTN moved away, it was because Telkom was talking to both parties at the same time. So MTN was not too happy with that.
Let's talk a little bit about the rand. Why are we still seeing it go through renewed selling pressure?
I think those hopes that the debt talks still could be reached by weekend. It helped the US dollar, and the rand being a commodity currency, today commodities are pretty down, and let alone the issues that we have back home here with this indefinite load shedding, or we call it state siege load shedding, so that's not working for us. But as it is now, the concern is this whole thing of the rand is inflationary, because we're a net importer, so it means whatever we're buying out there, it becomes more expensive, and that says a lot about the decision that the Reserve Bank has to make next week.
Speaking of that position, I mean, the rand currently at 19.36 to the dollar. What does it mean for the Reserve Bank going into next week? Are you thinking 25 basis points or 50 basis points?
I think 25, because they have to continue at least to maintain that interest rate differential. And the US, European Central Bank, even the Bank of England increased as well by 25 basis points, unless if they think of front loading, so meaning they do 50 instead of 25. But I think given the economic condition, I think it will only be fair that they just give us at least 25 basis points and give this whole increases that have been accumulating some chance to work into the economy.
Your thoughts on the sin sector stocks in a time where the economy is going through the doldrums? What do you make of the JSE listed gaming stocks?
I think they will do okay, especially not the casino part of things. Those who've got serious exposure when it comes to sports betting, because that continues to grow and it's very easy to play, stuff like that. People don't have to go out and go to the brick and mortar. They stand a chance, because in tough economic conditions, people tend to be hopeful that they can get money from other things, and gambling happens to be one of those things.
Before I let you go, yesterday we were having a conversation on the sectors of the economy that could stand to be vulnerable, given the fact that the Reserve Bank is taking its inflation fight seriously. Which sectors of the economy are vulnerable for you and warrant some level of caution?
I think our banks, yes, they've managed to make nice interest income when interest rates were going up gradually. But now if interest rates have gone up to such an extent that they start tipping our economy into a possible recession, meaning the very same customers might start defaulting, and the guys might have to increase their impairment provisions. So I think I'll be cautious when it comes to our banking sector. But so far, they've been looking okay.
All right, Makwe, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. That is Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers. And looking at the JSE at this point, all share index in negative territory. It's all red across the screen, and we are led lower there by the resources and then followed by the financials that are in negative territory. But we'll give you more of the market updates, of course, tomorrow. That is it from me. We take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more news for you, so stay tuned.